Chase Thomas podcast. My nephew needs me to record. See, I already hate it. I hate it.
Right to SRM Varsity Extra right here on sportsrenaissanceman.com and the Chase Thomas podcast, where we talk all things Tennessee Vols and Tennessee high school football, where Knoxville News Sentinel high school football reporter, high school sports reporter Wynton Jackson is here. Wynton, your first season on the beat has concluded, and you got the full experience of the Chattanooga state title game, freezing cold. Or did you not go?
Not. I got extremely sick
2
days before and was very contagious and was not able to go. So I watched all the games on my computer. I had been stuck in my apartment for like the past week or so.
Are you feeling better?
I'm good now. I had like the worst sore throat. Like I couldn't eat anything. I could barely talk. So doing this now, like a few days ago, I could not do this.
Goodness.
So the last game I covered was Sevier County Halls, the semifinal game.
Yeah.
Then was not able to make the trip down to Chattanooga, unfortunately.
So you and I, we talked about when we were at the Maryville West game on the sidelines, which feels like forever ago now, but it was not that long ago. Just the season flies by. But Sevier County, I'm curious, before I even give you my perspective on this, I feel like you know what I'm going to point out. Sevier County is the loudest stadium I've ever been to here in East Tennessee. The sound guy, I will never go to another Sevier County game without earmuffs. Like, I am going to be that guy. I am bringing earmuffs next year when I am in that building, because I asked a couple of folks around there. I was like, is it normally this loud? Like the intercom and everything else? Because like I'm rapidly losing my hearing throughout this entire high school football season, but this is top notch. And I'm curious, what was your perspective on that?
I think the loudest stadium I went to was actually Greenville. So I went to Greenville, Anderson County.
That's a drive.
The quarterfinal game, quite a drive. And maybe it was just because I was on the Greenville side of the stadium, but I mean, it was loud. I mean, like when you put, like the football college, the game, college football, where you have like the stadium pulse. That was like one of the arenas where I was like, okay, like they've got like the cowbells going, like the people are like banging, and every place does it. But I don't know what it was about Greenville. I don't know, maybe just the way it's set up. But it was deafening there.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe I'm just old and washed, but yeah, I just I'm like, can we turn it down? I'm that guy. Like the movie theater, can we turn it down a little bit? Can we? I can hear it just fine. Like, it doesn't have to be that loud. I'm a lot of fun at concerts. Like it's just yeah. Well, that's interesting. And now I'm gonna have to do some research. I didn't realize Greenville was that loud too. But also, I feel like Sevier County was super cold. Maybe you just being out in the cold for Sevier County and Halls. Maybe
I could not feel my hands.
Yeah.
I usually like try to keep stats in my little stat book.
Yeah.
And I was like barely able to write, and then I have to tweet and then post on Instagram, and I'm like typing one letter at a time, and I'm like trying to catch plays at the same time, recording. That was the struggle. So kind of a little bit thankful that one kind of got out of hand by the second half. So I didn't have to keep up as much, but the first half was definitely was hard.
The things we do for journalism, when the things we do.
People informed.
Exactly. Were you surprised at all that Alcoa was able to keep the state title streak going based on what you saw this year? You've seen Anderson County up close, obviously, and Anderson County did beat Alcoa first year moving up a classification. People kind of wonder, it's like, okay, are we sure that they're going to be one of the favorites, obviously, but was Alcoa going to keep this thing going? And Alcoa, sure enough, kept this thing going.
I wasn't really surprised. Even coming in, like this being my first year, seeing the history of the team, and it's like, okay, well, they've already got all the guys, they've got all the pedigree. They did slip up against Anderson County. I bet if they played again, it would probably not be the same result. And they also had sort of a fight with Upperman. I want to say that was the quarterfinal.
Yeah.
Where Upperman, or I think Alcoa was leading like 28-21 at the half, but I mean, it was like back and forth. I wasn't at that game, and I was just keeping up with it on Twitter.
Yeah, because that was in Upperman too, right?
Yes, it was on the road. So that was an interesting thing too. Was like Alcoa, now you have to go on the road. This is your real test in Class 4A. And they just it was just like, all right, whatever. I think that, and I haven't talked to Coach Nix because I was in Chattanooga, so I haven't talked to him since then. But I think the Anderson County game was kind of a wake up. Like, all right, guys, like we can't just cakewalk through this. It's not 3A anymore. This is 4A. But I mean, Alcoa, they play, Maryville, they played. I think they played Ravenwood last year. They played Bearden when, Bearden had all their guys in West, when West was competing for state championship. So they can compete up and down any level. So I wasn't really surprised.
Yeah, and you just kind of wonder, when is it actually going to end? Obviously, Coach Nix does a great job, and they've got that thing humming. It was a little, like you said, the Upperman road test and the new playoff format, and then dropping the Anderson County game. You're like, it's not like I'm going to predict them not to win it all, but there's more landmines here than there have been in recent years. So we'll see going into next year, but it's another year where Alcoa goes into the offseason with their state title streak intact, which is just truly unbelievable here in East Tennessee. With the offseason here now, Wynton, who do you think has the most interesting offseason ahead among the Knoxville schools that you're looking around, you're thinking about, and you're like, man, I don't know what they're going to look like next year. I'm curious what this roster looks like. They're just, based on what I saw my first year on the beat, I'm really curious what this offseason looks like for them.
I think I'd be remiss if I did not mention Webb hiring George Quarles yesterday. That's going to be big. Obviously, they're a private school. I don't think they're transfers, whatever, but I don't think they're like subject to like zoning rules or whatever. So whatever Webb's roster looks like next year, I'll be very curious.
Especially numbers wise.
Right. And I think they're in the same region as Boyd Buchanan. So a little Gary Rankin, George Quarles matchup. Interesting. I think also Central has my attention. Obviously, they had the leap between last year. Last year they won 4 games. This year they made it to the quarterfinal. Caden Long, I want to say he had like over 4,000 total yards and like 36 total touchdowns between passing and rushing. So just I wonder what another year under his belt looks like next season, going into next season.
Yeah, Central had a fantastic year. No shame, and they went 1 for 2 against Halls. End up losing to Halls in the quarterfinal matchup between them, and pushed Powell to the limit. You and I think, were at that game, and Central's offense was legit, and Coach Lane has done a really good job there. So I am curious how he builds off this year, and this is a state title pedigree at Central, so we'll see where they're at in the contender rankings. And yeah, the Webb part of it is George Quarles just kind of out of nowhere. But I mean, like you said, Maryville legend, you got an Alcoa legend here in these parts, and Webb had a really rough year. So you're just kind of wondering, how quickly is that going to flip? Is that is that a couple of years it's going to take? Or is this like let's see the numbers here and who's on this roster next year? And you're like, whoa, okay, Webb's coming right out of the gate. And it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out this offseason, because that's just a gigantic name with a pedigree, with the history. And if you're a high school athlete here in the East Tennessee area, you're looking at that and you're like, that's interesting.
I obviously I've heard the name George Quarles. There's the George Quarles way in Maryville. But when I was writing the story yesterday, I was writing his record, and then I had to take a second to look back. I was like, wait, he only lost 16 games in how many years? He won more state championships than losses. Like that doesn't seem right. Like maybe I need to like double check or something. Like that's insane.
No, George Quarles, and man, that he has won a lot of football games, and obviously coming in from Austin P, he left for ETSU years ago, and it is interesting because we just don't know. I'm not going to bet against George Quarles, but Webb is an interesting spot. I mean, that's a big jolt for that Webb football program. And you kind of wonder how long. Like, is George Quarles like a long-term guy? Does he want to do this for a while? Or is this just to kind of get Webb back on track? It is curious what that timeline looks like for him at Webb. But man, that is, I mean, Grace is humming obviously with the Price brothers, and you have CAK obviously doing really. You look around, and I mean, obviously we know the heavy hitters in Chattanooga with Baylor and Macaulay, but you also have over there and Brentwood Academy, who had obviously a gigantic year. You have Nashville Christian. The private schools are doing pretty well right now, and Webb is just. It feels like with the Corals hiring, things are about to get very serious for the Spartans.
VGA was up there.
VGA, yeah. Absolutely. Coach who you would buy the most stock going into 2026 would be who?
Ooh, most stock. So I went to the in back-to-back weeks. I went to Maryville Oak Ridge and then Oak Ridge Science Hill. And it was kind of, I think it was jarring, especially for the players, to start the season 9-0, and then in 2 games like that, you're back on your couch or you're going back to school and there's nothing after school or whatever. Yeah. So I'm just very curious as to how Derek Rang, I guess, sort of reorients this program going forward. Blaine Stansbury, the quarterback, he is a senior, so he'll graduate. But they still got Malik Howard. Their running back, Milton Porter, should be coming back. He was injured, and there were some injuries too. But I don't know. I'm curious about Oak Ridge, just the way their season ended so quickly after like coming out of the gate so hot in 6A. I don't know. I'm just curious to see what that looks like.
Yeah, I'm very curious on the Oak Ridge front. Derek Rang just wins wherever he goes. He's another guy. It's just I'm not betting against Derek Rang. And yeah, they have some guys to replace, but you talked about Malik Howard and company. I mean, they're going to be talented. They're going to be really good. And like you said, that's just got to be because it's interesting where your losses fall. Like you said, it was a successful year for Oak Ridge. And yeah, it stunk getting upset in the first round by Science Hill at home, but it doesn't invalidate what you did over the course of the whole year. I mean, you come out of the gate blowing out Halls on Rivalry Thursday, and there's a lot of proof of concept to what Derek has built with the Wildcats here in his couple-year run at Oak Ridge. So I do think I would continue to buy stock. Like, I'm not betting against Derek Rang in a fall-off, even replacing QB1, talented quarterback, and Blame. But yeah, I think Oak Ridge is going to be just fine, but we'll see. You just never know year to year, but he's been a winner wherever he's gone. So I would not be surprised if Oak Ridge was back to being one of the best here in Knoxville. The most underrated player. I remember I asked you a couple weeks ago, like the best player. Who is the most underrated? Where you talk like he's just not getting enough publicity, but like he had a really, really great year here in that Knoxville area.
What do you mean by underrated? Like college recruitment, or is it just like general public?
Just general. Because college recruitment, yeah, it's kind of just general, like what you saw. You're like, yeah, there's the heavy hitters. Like everyone knows Cooper Newman. Everyone knows those kind of guys. They know Malik Howard. They know Deuce Rogers. They might not know some other guys.
Right. It's funny when you mentioned Cooper Newman. The first thought that came to my head was their running back Nathan Patterson. He had a crazy. I won't say crazy, but he definitely picked up his play towards the end of the season and then into the season. And I had seen him before. I think I saw him at the Greenville when I went to Sevier County, Greenville, and it was just like, oh, he's a good running back. But then saw him again against Halls, and then looking at his stats from the games before, it was like, oh, okay, I think that's a name we should be paying attention to going forward.
And he's a sophomore, or I think he's got a few more years there.
Yeah, he's got a couple more years, so I would definitely throw him out there. I would also say Brody Sparks on Carter. Carter was interesting to me because I think they had, I want to say they had a shot to, if not win the region, at least finish second, depending on where Anderson County ended up in the Alcoa game. But I thought he had a really good year. It helps when you have Jody Scruggs, who I'm like going through. This is like a sneak peek, maybe a teaser. I'm going through like the prep extra, first team and like second team and all the like the all area list. And Jody Scruggs had like 800 receiving yards and 500 rushing yards. So it helps me have that kind of weapon. But I think
Mm.
Brody Sparks, I think he's a junior. He might have one more year, but that's another name I would look at for next year.
Yeah, Carter, I saw up close once this year when they were at Northview Academy early on, and they blew him out. But Northview had a tough year replacing Mason Phillips, and there was some drop off there, and because he was just kind of the engine that made that work and everything else. So it was a tough year overall for Northview, but Carter, their offense, they're just fun. Like Carter, but also that game, what I remember about that is we were talking about with Sparks and Scruggs is that they did several onside kicks. So this is not really relevant to them individually, but they did a lot of onside kicks and they kept recovering the onside kicks early on in that football game. But they were an aggressive bunch, an aggressive offense. And yeah, they play a fun style of ball. Like Carter, it's like if you're just looking for a high school football game to just go watch and you don't have like an allegiance here in East Tennessee, I would encourage you to go watch some Carter Hornets football because it's just fun. Like they play a really fun style and it's fun offense and they have a lot of playmakers and yeah, it just works. You know, their scheme does.
I saw them play Alcoa, which wasn't great, but then before that, I saw them play South Doyle, and that was that went to overtime. That was a really fun game. It was kind of cold too, but both of those teams are pretty fun.
Yeah. Final thing, get you out of here on this. The best game this season that you saw was what? What's your game of the year? When
I have a few. I can't pick one.
Okay.
I'm just gonna rattle off. Actually, it's just a bunch that I really enjoyed going to. So obviously, Maryville, Alcoa Week 1. Like that's if there's a way to start this beat, the high school sports beats in Knoxville, like that's the one. I remember I was looking for parking for like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
like,
you gotta park far away. You gotta. Here's the thing: my wife is a close parker. She's all about it. It drives me nuts because I want to be able to get out of the way from the action if we want to leave, and I don't want to be stuck. You know, where it's like, oh, we park close, we save some time on the walk, and then we're now backed up. You got to go further away. You got to walk down the neighborhoods. When you got to be further.
I was worried. I mean, this is my first game. I was worried about my deadline. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh, that's true. Different circumstances.
I got to get out as quick as possible.
That's true.
So obviously that one, and then obviously Anderson County, Alcoa, the last game of the season.
Yeah.
Even though that one was freezing. Sevier County, Greenville went to double overtime.
Yeah.
I think Bryson Hedrick blocked or forced a fumble on the 1 yard line to get the ball back to then score. I mean, that was ridiculous. Halls and Central, the first game was crazy because Halls was about to win, and then Central converted like a 40-yard Hail Mary to win the game. I mentioned the Carter South Doyle double overtime. So those are just a few that stuck with me. Like when I think of those are the best games, some of the best teams in the area. Those are the ones that I thought of.
Interesting.
Oh, and Sevier County Grace Christian. That one was really close.
Oh, yeah. You were also there for Ella's retirement.
Yes, I was. Yeah.
Did you say your proper goodbyes? Are you a dog person, Wynton?
I am a dog person. We had a dog growing up, and then my parents gave him away when I went to college.
Oh, no.
Because they're like, oh, we're out of the house, so we can't, we don't want to leave him by himself. I'm like,
well, he's not by yourself. He's with your parents.
I know, but they're like, we're always at work. My dad travels for work sometimes, so it's like, oh, no one's in the house, so he's just gonna be all by himself. So
no.
But yes, I am a dog person. I did a story on Ella.
Okay.
I'm sure every media outlet did a story on Ella, but I did one on her retirement.
Good doggo. She had a great run.
Yes. Much
better than the latest Smokey.
No comment.
I'm going to comment, which is I've been on this beat and I've been banging this drum for years now, Wynton. I could spend a whole podcast on my Smokey takes. And I'm a big dog person. I like my dog's taking a nap right next to me right now. No, that's a whole podcast for another day. I get tagged on stuff about like Smokey updates at the game and everything. So no,
he retired, right?
Yes, but I don't know how you retire when you didn't even do it. Like, how are you? No retirement. No retirement. 2 years, no Smokey, can't do it. Don't even get me started on this one. Don't even get me started on the Smokey debacle here over the last couple of years.
Replacement, I think, will be coming next year, so you can focus on that.
Yeah, like Tennessee needs to talk to Anderson County because they know what they're doing these days. Like Ella was a machine. She was doing her job for years and just went out on a high note and everything else. And we'll see. But I have all the faith in the world for Ella's replacement. She's going to be just fine. Just fine. Also, more schools do stuff like that. It's great. Like, it's just an easy thing. Just everyone has like a different dog breed, right? Who just runs out and does this. Be great.
You would think more schools, because like I've seen like, a lot of schools are starting to do like the fireworks thing like before.
Yeah.
You would think more schools would have some sort of, maybe not like a dog, but like some sort of like animal mix sort of thing. I don't know. Just, I don't know. Way to bring in more people.
100%. Yeah, it's great. I'm never going to say no to like, oh, wow, another dog coming out to go catch the tea. No, it's great. Go do it. It's nice. Wynton, what can the good folks check out from you and the team over at Knoxville News Sentinel this week?
Like I mentioned, sometime soon, sometime this month. I don't have a confirmed date yet, but our all area teams are coming out. I've got a little something cooking with talking to some coaches. I'm not going to say who, but a story on coaches and lessons that they learn from year to year. I think that's all I want to give so far.
It's a good tease.
Yeah. And high school basketball is already started. I know I've been more focused on football, but once all the football stuff is filed and pushed away, hitting basketball as hard as we can, especially going to the new year. So that's what's going on.
Yeah. A lot of basketball coaches happy all around the area. Football players able to make
that move. Getting their full teams. Yeah. Our top athletes are back.
Yeah, 100%. What a calendar. Wynton Jackson, thank you so much for the time. Go subscribe to the Knoxville News Sentinel and keep up with all of Wynton's work on the high school beat if you are not already. But thank you as always, my friend, and we'll have to check back in again soon.
All right, thank you, man.
All right, hello, welcome back. Right here on SRM Varsity Extra, right here on the Chase Thomas Podcast, where I'm now joined by a first-timer state champion himself from the Patriots, Page High School's own, Charles Rathbone. Charles, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Appreciate you having me.
Thank you for being here. Now that you've won state, now you can put all your thinking into Christmas time, right? I imagine that's all you're thinking about is what you're doing this Christmas season, correct?
Well, it depends on who you talk to. If you talk to the kids, they won't be thinking about the rings, and if you talk to other people, they won't be either coming doing an interview or an appearance or something like that. So, I thought my time would slow down after the championship game, but it seems to have gotten more busy. But it's worth it. It's worth it to do it for the kids.
I feel partially responsible for that, Charles, for you coming on this very program.
This is new. I mean, this is different than just a local radio show. This is big time. So this is good.
And look, I appreciate the time, and I'm always happy to talk and to learn about your program and y'all special season. Obviously, multiple bites of the apple that we'll talk about here as we continue on in this program. But I'm curious from the start, what was the biggest reason in your estimation that your team had such a special season in 2025?
Well, I think it was just the closeness of the team. I mean, you hear that a lot, but I've been coaching this group of seniors since they were in third and fourth grade and in 707. My son, who's a big old lineman now, he was actually playing receiver and quarterback back then. So it was so we've been together a long time. So I think that we built a lot of trust with one another. And I've just seen them grow. They become great leaders, and they just love each other. I mean, there was very, very little selfishness on the team. Nobody cared where the credit went to. They just wanted to win. They wanted to win for one another, and they wanted to prove everybody wrong that they could win a state championship.
I'm curious, like year over year, every year it's a different season. You do return a lot of guys depending on the years and everything else, but how do you just wipe whatever happened in the previous year? This year is obviously going to be different because you are going to be a defending state champs, something that Sevier County, who you just beat, had to deal with all season. How does your approach change now that you've won state and you're like, hey, this is not hey, we're so close. We're a game away. We're going to get back. We're going to be like, we are getting there over and over again. It's going to happen for us. And that natural desire and fight and everything else comes to play. But now you're the hunted. Now you have won the state title. Now you get to spend the next full calendar year being the state champions. How do you change that for your younger guys who just experienced a state title of like, hey, no, we can repeat, we can keep this thing going?
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head in that we're the 100. And when we talk to our kids, that's the message that we'll preach to them, that everybody's coming in here or wherever we go play, it would make their season to beat us, right? I mean, to knock off the defending state champion. So we got to be ready to play. And you also got to keep some just normal wear and tear, lift, hard work, put in the effort, put in the work. We'll still get up at 5 a.m. and come in and lift. We'll still be on that field when it's hot. As hot as we get on it, we'll be on it. So we're still going to push these guys to be their best and kind of preach the same message to them that we have for the last 4 years. So as long as we're getting that work ethic out of them and they want to go repeat, it's a senior-led team. So the seniors have to come in and be hungry, just as hungry as the next group. And if they're not, then we won't be as successful as we were the last 4 years. If they are, then we got a chance of doing it all over again.
How have you changed as a head football coach over the years? What's the biggest change between who you are now versus who you were when you first got started here at Page?
So, I was the 4th or 5th head coach in my first 10 years at Page High School. They had no stability whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And, we were at a 500 team, maybe a little bit better. So when I first got it, it was all about winning. It was all about, we got to win now, we got to, all that stuff. Over the years, I've come to value the importance of the kids and value just how much difference we make in their lives every single day. I got a poster hanging in my office. It quotes, I think it's either Saban or Paterno. One of them, he talks about coaches touch more lives in a day than most people do in their lives. So I live by that. I take that very serious. And, to me, my evolution as a coach is, I'm still going to be hard on the kids, but I'm going to make sure I love on the kids as well. I'm going to make sure I enjoy my time with the kids. I'm going to make sure that we laugh together, cry together, and that we lift and work together. So, that's kind of my story and what I believe in. It was a coach. I didn't have much of a home life when I was growing up, and it was a coach that took me, put his arm around my neck, Mike Bell, back at William Blount, and said, he said, Bonus, we're going to be okay. And that was my junior year in high school. That's when I started playing football, and football is what got me out of that circumstance, the situation, whatever you want to call it, and kind of got me to where I am today. And I want to share that with the kids. I also coach girls flag football. I want to share it with the girls. And, I just believe football is a great tool to help these kids have better lives. And it's not the only tool, and it's not the most important thing. I do not believe that. It's not the most important thing. It's simply a tool for me to help reach kids and make a difference in their lives.
Do you think that's permeated into just the wins on the field over the years?
I do. I think kids, once they know that you truly care about them, if you, if you got a kid that rolls his ankle and you say, oh, you got to suck it up and get back in there and go play. Or if you go, man, we understand. If you can play, you can play. If not, your health is more important than the next 10, 15 plays. Kids feel that. They know when they're genuinely cared about. They know when they're genuinely loved. And I feel like they want to represent you and play harder for you and vice versa. So, yeah, I really do feel like they feel it.
Sevier County, obviously a huge opponent, huge victory for your guys. They were kind of the cardiac bears here for the last 2 years and just so many close games coming from behind. I was at the game on the field for Lincoln County, who really, really pushed Sevier County in the quarters. Sevier had to come back from 10 down with about 5 minutes to go in that football game. But you win this game, a 1-score game. You beat them this year. What makes Coach Loveday's Smoky Bears so difficult to beat, and why do you think you were able to get over that hump this year?
Well, I think Sevier County is a mirror image of us. A lot of hard-nosed, hard-working kids. They execute at a high level, even though we didn't do it the first half, but they execute at a high level. And Loveday holds them accountable. He's genuinely, he's a great coach. He's an even better guy. His offensive coordinator, Matt Penland, I know him as well. He's a great guy. So they put a game plan together for those kids to be successful. But make no mistake about it, it always comes down to the guys you have on the field, the Jimmies and the Joes making plays. And they've been so successful for 2 years now because they have Jimmies and Joes, just like us. We've been successful because of that same reason. and he does a good job of getting them headed into the right direction. Just kind of like what I'm no expert at football. I promise you, I'm not Nick Saban, but I feel like we do a pretty good job of getting a game plan together and getting them headed in the right direction, and then they go out and they take it and they win it.
Is that one of the more underrated parts about Page football? Is just the staff and how comfortable you are in your own skin, and just kind of you. It feels like to me from the outside that you're comfortable, just like, hey, this is I trust my players, I trust my staff, and you surround yourself with the best on both sides, right?
That's the goal of any head coach should do.
Mm,
If you have that ego that you're going to do everything, then obviously a lot of things are going to be left unturned and left out. So I try
mm,
to surround myself by the best coaches, the best minds, but more importantly to me, the ones with the best character, the ones I know that are not going to do something that's stupid, that's not going to curse a kid or grab a kid by the face mask or those type of things. I want to be surrounded by guys that are godly men that's going to love on these kids and learn the football that I want them to learn, and let's get that to the kids, and be the high character coach, not somebody that's just all about football or else. Because
mm.
I mean, I really do feel like that's not the right uh, relationship or the right way to earn the kids' respect and to teach our kids.
How has Middle Tennessee high school football grown since you first started?
I think football in general has just grown. You got more
Mm,
kids playing, I feel like. I mean, I think the biggest thing, you have more kids individualizing in the sports. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think they should play multiple sports. But I think just the coaching has evolved so much. One of the guys that was my mentor, Jack Daniels, he
mm,
coached at Halls, won a state championship at, I believe it was Anderson County back in the 90s.
mm,
Uh, he brought the spread offense to Middle Tennessee
mm,
at Brentwood and started throwing the ball over the field. Up until the end, it was 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
mm.
Well, the other night's game, you saw that both of us wanted to throw the ball around, and that's just the evolution of the game. And when you do that, when you play basketball on turf, it brings your athletes out onto that turf, and they want to participate and be involved. And I think kind of that whole evolution of coaching, style of ball, and athletes coming out has really been beneficial to football.
What are you going to miss most about this year's team?
Um, the kids, when it finally was over the other night, I turned around, hear somebody yelling my name, and it was my son waiting to hug me.
Mm,
So I'll never have a better memory than that, right? I mean, as a father, that's what you want. That's a dream. Each of these kids are like my sons. 3:21 in the morning, Friday night, or I guess Saturday morning. Knight Wilson texts me, "I love you, coach." I mean, you can't beat that.
mm.
You can't beat that. I don't know why he went to sleep. He was with his mom and dad, but you can't beat hearing those words from a kid and just knowing that you had some small impact on his life. And to me, that's what motivates me to keep going. I'm getting up there. I'm 51 years old, so I'm getting old. So I mean, just uh, just to know that the kids care about you and things like that is very important. And to me, that's just huge. And
Do you have a time? Oh,
I'll
go ahead.
always remember those kids for just their character. I mean, just every single one of them. I could tell you a story about every single one of them. And, it's just a great group. They won the first county championship in 8th grade over at the middle school across the
Mm.
street, and now they brought the first state championship to Page High School.
So you did mention, early 50s is not old, coach. Like, I'm over here at 34. Like, you think 34 is old, and then you get to 34 and you're like, no, 34 is not that old. You've got some years, you got state titles, you keep going. Like, is it about wins for you that you want to keep going? Is it just going to be like one day, what was it, Dean Smith, where he just didn't want to go to practice one day, and that was it for him, where he just realized when he didn't have that drive for practice, that it was time to walk away? Or is it just, what is your timeline? Do you still feel pretty good long term, or is it year to year for you?
No, I feel pretty good long term. As long as I feel like I'm making a difference in kids' lives, then I
Yeah.
want to teach and I want to coach. It's never going to be about wins to me. There's no more competitive person in the world than me. I hate losing. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, when I lose, I can't sleep. I mean, it's just those things. But I always reel it back in when I get into the word, and it's all about being an impactful person for these kids. Making a difference in these kids. When I walk through these hallways, it's not just football players that are coming up and talking to me and saying, "Hey, Coach Bone, how are you doing today?" I mean, it's just about every student in the school. So I try to reach out to every single one of them and be there for every single one of them. So when I feel like that is gone, when I can no longer make that difference in a kid's life, that's when I'll know it's time to leave.
I'm always curious about what you see on film versus, I mean, we can see the stats, we can watch the games on television, but there are a lot of things like without the all 22 that we're just not seeing for your guys, and you and your staff are seeing. Who are some of the unsung tape heroes for your team this year, where week over week, more often than not, this guy or this guy just they did a lot of stuff that helped us play winning football that didn't necessarily show up in the stat sheet and didn't get the kind of accolades that skill position guys, generally speaking, are more apt to get. Who is that for y'all?
Well, I mean, I tell you that the interior offensive defensive line played incredible.
Hmm.
I mean, they had those 2 4th-and-1 stops. They played well all year long. You got somebody like a Sloan Bass who plays center. He never gets his name mentioned. He's just been a dude all year long. He's just an incredible player. And then he spells some guys on defense as well. Liam Perry, who did a great job this year off the edge. He got hurt the other night and missed half the game, but he did a great job of just coming in and solidifying that position. Sean Cunningham has the stats. I mean, he had 139 tackles this year, but you never hear his name. He kind of gets mentioned second or third behind the Knight Wilsons and those guys. But he's an incredible player, and of course our quarterback. I feel like he's kind of been underlooked. I mean, he's got a couple of Power Four offers. Miami Hurricanes has offered him. He transferred in from Kansas City. Cam Cruzy, he's special. He is really special. And I know it's hard to say a quarterback gets kind of overlooked, but man, he gets us in the right plays a lot of times. And he's done an incredible job. And I could go on and on and on. I mean, the snapper Nolan Ballou on special teams. I mean, didn't have a bad snap all year, including in the game the other night. So just guys like that really do the little things that you just kind of take for granted. You truly, really appreciate those guys.
What's the biggest last football question for you? What's the biggest offseason storyline for your team to address to give you the best chance to repeat in 26?
Can we get everybody's stroking our egos right now? We're kind of a parent texted me, man, y'all are celebrities in Rudderville. Well, I don't want to be a celebrity. I went into education to not be a celebrity, So these kids have got to get over that. They got to understand as soon as we get back from break, January 5th, I think it is, it's time to get back to work. It's time to get in the weight room. It's time to bust it. It's time to earn. Well, go out and start earning what we want to achieve next year. And that's going to be the message we send them. That's going to be the message that they receive. And they're either going to live up to it and work hard, or we're going to have to find somebody else to play.
Non-football thing real quick, Coach. Obviously, we're taping this a couple weeks before Christmas. Do you have any Christmas traditions in the Rathbone household? Is there any kind of favorite things you like doing this time of year? Are you making the trip to Dollywood? Are you going what's your ideal Christmas break, and what are some fun traditions that you might have as a family?
So we're not going to go to Dollywood, but we are
Okay.
going up to Sevier County, Gatlinburg, Ober. We're heading up there next weekend, I think it is. We go up
Okay.
every year. Being an old East Tennessee boy, I miss those hills, those mountains, those streams, the rivers and all the other stuff. I miss the people. So we'll be heading up there here in a few weeks. My wife does a Christmas ornament every single year. It's kind of special, but Christmas is by far my favorite time of year. It's when we're reminded of all of our many blessings that the good Lord has given us. And I absolutely love everything about it. Usually I'm not a big song person, but I love Christmas songs. I love just I don't want to go to concerts, but I'll go to a Christmas concert.
Okay.
I'll go to parade, anything Christmassy. I absolutely love it. I got 2 little nieces that are 7, 8, 9 years old. I'm excited to get them a few gifts and see how they act. And I just love the everything about Christmas and spending time with the family. And we don't do anything other than the big meal that we do Christmas Eve. I always make a big prime rib and things like that. That's kind of popular, but everything about it, I love it.
Are you cooking the prime rib? Is this all your creation?
Oh yeah, we'll go out and buy a prime rib and we'll season it and throw it in the oven for a few hours, and we'll let it bake, and we'll go out to a Christmas show and at the church, and then we'll come back in and we'll all have family dinner and sit and eat and, try to get a little fatter.
I love it. I love it. Do you have a favorite Christmas movie?
Rudolph, you can't go wrong with Rudolph, but
Okay.
I've grown fond of Santa Claus with Tim Allen.
Okay. There you go. I love it. Well, Coach, how does everyone who listening in from the Page area and beyond in Middle Tennessee, how do they support your program, everything you've got going here in the month of December and going forward?
Well, they've done a great job. I mean, I would go look at Page High School and see some of the special things that are going on here, because it's not just football. I mean, it's everything. We got some of the most blessed kids in the world, but we also have some of the most giving and caring kids in the world that want to reach out and help other people. And that's kind of what's drawn me to Page for 22 years now, 23 years now.
Does it feel that long?
No, it doesn't. It feels like
Yeah.
a flash in the pan, to be honest with you, just like it flew by. But it used to be an old country school. Now we have an ag program, but we have maybe 20, 23, 24 kids in the ag program. So it's kind of evolved itself over the years and come a different place. But the kids have remained the same. They're just good-hearted, good, loving kids with great families. And, it's a great place to be. And I would encourage everybody to go out and look at it.
I love it. Well, Coach, congratulations again on the state championship and an awesome season, one of many in a row here. And I'm excited to see what it looks like for your team going into 2026, which will be here before you know it. We're all cold, but August is going to be here like a snap of the finger, and we're back to high school football here in Tennessee.
That's right. A lot of work to do between now and then, but it'll be here before you know it. And I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have to check back in again later on this offseason and see what's going on with the Patriots maybe this spring.
Yes, sir. Look forward to it. We'll talk a little flag football.
There you go. All right, we're back here on SRM Varsity Extra right here on sportsrenaissanceband.com, a subset of the Chase Thomas podcast where we talk all things Tennessee Vols and also Tennessee high school football all across our great state. And we're going to the middle part of the state over there in Murfreesboro, the Pit, as I learned from some diehard Falcon fans a few weeks ago when Lincoln County pushed Sevier County, the defending champs at the time, to the limit. Fresh off an upset win the previous week, the Road Warriors, Eddie Cunningham here, the head football coach. Coach, now that you've had a couple of weeks, I mean, have you had time to reflect? Have you still just been like, I'm not ready to really go down that road just for our season? Where are you at in the off season?
So, it's been, for us, we ended our season, went straight into a week off for Thanksgiving. So I've told many people I'm kind of glad that we had that week off. I don't know that I've been able to come back to school on Monday, but we took that week. We kind of got away, and then by the time we got back, we did a lot of our inventory and preparing our getting rid. I guess I don't want to say getting rid of our seniors, but cleaning out our locker rooms and doing all the things to kind of get our off season cranked up. And then I've gone back. I've finally kind of gotten to that point to where, I went back and I watched the film a couple of times, and, we assessed the season. That's what we plan to do every off season. We kind of go through game by game and, kind of do a little bit more detailed kind of lists of things we want to clean up, going into the next year, or, kind of get an idea of the players that we have coming back. You do that some during the season, but you really, I know for me, I tend to look forward, to the team you're facing the next week, probably a little quicker. So we use this time to really go back and study our opponent and, and ourselves as well.
So this was a special season. You were, and we'll talk about the fans here who made back-to-back big-time trips here in East Tennessee. And obviously take down Powell, and then you get to Sevier County in back-to-back weeks. You get to the quarterfinals. The biggest reason that your team had such a special season this year is what?
I think, knowing a little bit of the background a couple of years ago, when I took over, we had just come off of a 1-9 season. The program at Lincoln County, kind of a rich tradition in the past, had kind of gone through about a 4 or 5 year down period. And so when I took over, there weren't a lot of people that applied for the job. I took it. We put a staff together. The staff that we put together, we really kind of put our heads in like, hey, what are we going to do to fix this? And we did it. In the first couple of years, it was very slow. We went 2-8 and then right into a 3-7 season. And those losing years, it's kind of lonely around here because nobody really wants to associate with that. Last year, we went 7-3, lost in the first round of the playoffs. And you could tell, like, people started coming back around. They were interested in how we were doing. And then, we had a pretty successful year this year in our terms, finished 8-2 regular season, made it to the quarterfinals. And, to me, I think it's the buy-in that we got from the players a couple of years ago when they first started coming in, and then just the commitment level to, they didn't want to go back to a 2-8 season, whatever else. So they were putting in extra work to get to go back to our host a playoff game. And then when we lose to Sevier a couple of weeks ago, I'm having players call me over Thanksgiving break wanting to open the weight room up, so I think, winning, it makes you hungry. I there was a little fool's gold in there. Beating Powell, I think we played pretty good, but we also had to have a little luck on our side with their quarterback going down a little bit. And, but getting to that point, I think it kind of made it verified to the players that hard work can pay off, if you just kind of stick to the work and the plan and the process and all that stuff. So it made us feel really good that, that it shows that it can do its job as long as, you're putting the work in.
Did you have a good feeling coming into both just the film prep work ahead of Powell and ahead of Sevier County that you liked the matchup for your team again, even if a lot of folks here in the area didn't have that on their radar, but you and your staff are like, I kind of like this. I like how our guys match up here.
I think there were spots. I'm not going to say on paper, you compare us to Powell or Sevier, we're probably killed in both of those ball games. But there were spots that we felt like we could take advantage of. Versus Powell, our nemesis has always been a running quarterback that can throw, and probably for anybody, at this level. So early on we were having a lot of problems, containing him. And, and then when he went down, for a good portion of the middle part of the game, we were able to kind of, and we did that offensively without him being on the field, but defensively, I think we got one big stop and we started playing with confidence that, hey, we can do this. And then Deuce came back in at one point. We got a big stop then. And I think we just kind of rode that momentum there for a while. And then we just had to come up with, we had a huge kick. I think it was like from the 10 or 12 yard line, something like that, to put us up by 10. And we had to have a stop. We got the stop and so that kind of gave us a little confidence going into Sevier. So the week in preparation, again, kind of felt like, as a team as a whole, I didn't know that we competed with them as much, but I felt like there were small spots that we could win. And, so we tried to, I don't remember his name, but we tried to take number 0 out the best that we could.
Oh, Hedrick. Yeah.
Yeah. And, which is a phenomenal player. And, so when we tried to do that, I think for us, it kind of created some areas where it opened up running lanes. they were able to gash us a couple of times, big with the run game. And then the QB at Sevier, I mean, he's Mr. Football for a reason. I mean, he's a phenomenal athlete. And with up by 10, I think with 6 minutes to go, we've got to make a couple of plays there. And I think our luck ran out. We had a surefire pick, that we dropped, and then we blew a coverage, I think, in the same drive. And then
but a huge return when you have a chance, like a huge return.
And we had a timeout. We got plus 48, I think. And it just, it just wasn't our night to finish the comeback. So, but I think it left, it started our off season in the right direction. I think everybody felt like, hey, just because they're defending state champions, they're beatable. And then I became one of the bigger Sevier fans. As soon as we lost to them, I wanted to see them go ahead and win it all. So, that's kind of how our season ended.
So you mentioned a lot of different things there that I thought was, especially as I'm just like watching you guys up close, and I was just very fortunate to see you guys up close a couple weeks ago. But like one of the things I thought was super interesting about how your team was built and what you did to really put a lot of pressure on Sevier County's defense. I mean, your quarterback senior, he's moving on. Maddox, he was really good moving around in the pocket. He was really good at navigating the Sevier County pass rush when they were getting in his face. I thought he did a really good job there, making some key down the field throws, like keeping his head up and finding guys down the field. You were able to push it in that way. You also had to do some really fun red zone stuff where you get Trayshawn Jean involved, where he just is kind of like that Swiss Army knife for you guys. That was always really interesting to see how you utilized him in the red zone, in particular in the Wildcat type deal. And then, of course, running the ball, Carson Carter. I was jotting down in my notes where I'm like, what is the carry count up to here? Because he's a warrior, man. Like he's not going to break it for 30 plus yards. It's not kind of the kind of back he is. He's just wearing down Sevier County. Like it's 2 to 3 guys every time to take him down. He's not going down in the first hit. And I just came away so impressed with your different playmakers and how balanced and how different your attack was at Sevier County.
Yeah, Coach Pittenger, our offensive coordinator, he does a great job of taking the athletes that we have and kind of creating different things for each one of them, and they are different athletically. Trayshawn's kind of your home run hitter. Carson is, he's that workhorse that, we get behind, we kind of grind out games. And that's what we try to pride ourselves on, all season long, year after year is we don't care if it takes a 15 play drive, we're wear you down. And that's one thing I think it was the Powell game, you could kind of see, early in the fourth quarter, guys were kind of leaning over and, you were the effects of kind of the long grind out, drives were taking, they were taking effects on the Powell defense. We see a kid kind of lean over, we're going to try to come right back at him. And, so that's where we've hung our hat the last couple of years. We get Carson Carter back. Trayshawn and Maddox move on. Trayshawn was a 4-year starter for us. He was a huge asset. Maddox has improved. He's a 3-year starter and has improved every year. And he had a good probably 5 or 6 game run there at the end of the season that really kind of it made us two-dimensional. So those two are going to be very hard to replace, which we don't lose, but maybe 5 starters, combined offense and defense. So, but the 5 that we lose, they were big as far as the impacts that they made week to week.
Yeah. And that makes me wonder. So it's one of those things, the great part about having the success is then expectations come, as you, like you were talking about here at the top, is revitalizing what you walked into. You've built it back up. You beat Powell on the road. You push the defending state champs, who end up getting all the way back and lose in a close one there to Page. But does that like get you more fired up than building a program from scratch? Or is this more of like, man, this is different. I've got expectations now, and we're bringing back a lot of starters, and folks really enjoyed that run we just went on in the playoffs. And it's because you traveled well, and this fan base has been chomping at the bit for this return to a strong playoff contender with the Falcons.
Yeah, I think my first year after coming off of a 1-9 season, that first year there were no expectations. I think it was, make sure the kids work hard, type deal. Which I think it was nice to try to ease. I mean, that was my first year as a head coach, so it made that maybe year a little bit easier for me as well. We could focus on what we felt like was important. But I'm one of those people that I kind of like the fact that there's a little bit more pressure maybe now to get back to that spot. I think, my brain works a little differently than most people, and if I think if there's no expectations, you get bored, and so to me, I like the fact that, hey, we've got a little pressure to get back there. And I think the players kind of feel the same way. I think they loved the fact of, being 4 hours away, maybe a little bit more than that, and turning around and having almost a home game, feel. I mean, our fans, that they do that every week. They travel weekly like that. So, it's a testament to, this is a small town. They love their football here. It's been like that since 1979, and they get behind every sport, not just football. I mean, it's basketball, baseball, softball. They love their sports. They travel with them, and home games are even better. So hopefully next year we can win the region and we're all at home. But I would rather have to follow a winning season, and the pressure of that than come off a 1-9. That's not what you're shooting for. So,
yeah, that's fair. Who are the biggest guys that you thought? Maybe we were talking about, obviously, with Gene and Maddox and company, just the kind of the skill position guys, but who, when you're watching the tape back during this postseason run, or even just the season as a whole, who are some tape heroes that you're like, man, a lot of our fans didn't see it because it's just not going to come up on the box score, but man, they really, really helped get us to where we ultimately got this season?
Probably the biggest is Broden England. He was a senior defensive end. He's a 3-year starter for us, but you're not going to look and see 2 or 3 sacks a game or 10 tackles or anything like that. But he's the guy that if you tell him something, or if he, hey, look for this, et cetera, like he was kind of a middle linebacker at defensive end. He was calls and, and different things. And he, I guess it was week 10, he broke his pinky and ring finger on his right hand. So really playing with a partial hand there.
Yeah.
But he's the guy that kind of a silent leader. His part will be, important and hard to replace. And then you had Eli Shetler was another senior that going into the year, we really didn't expect to start. I think we expected him to kind of be a fill-in guy, and we had an injury. He started the first game and then just kind of slowly maintained his position throughout the year. And at the end of the year, you're looking and you're like, man, this is a first-team region guy, So I think those two are huge. Those are seniors. You've got some others that, juniors that will be really good. Our line, Going into this season, we had lost all 5 of our starting O-linemen.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody was very skeptical of how they would play, and I think they got better week to week. There's still some improvement there. That's going to be high school football, but there were some missed blocks in the last couple series there against Sevier that would have really helped propel some, maybe extra yardage or, maintaining the ball a little bit and keeping it out of Sevier's hand. But overall for the season, I think they did a great job. Carter Mays, our free safety, next year he'll be a 3-year starter. Quietly just, ended up with 50-something tackles and I think 4 picks. A couple of those picks were huge throughout the year that maybe stopped game-winning drives or different things like that. So, we've got several key pieces that are returning, and something to kind of hang your hat on as you're moving into the off season, to look forward to.
Well, Coach, how did the good folks here in Middle Tennessee support everything Lincoln County football going into this holiday season?
How do they support us?
Yeah, how did the fans? Yeah, how do all the Lincoln County fans tuning in here? How do they support your program here this month?
We've had a couple of things where I think coming up at one of our basketball games, they're gonna introduce the football team. We've been asked to go and I guess ride in a Christmas parade around here, stuff like that. We do a like an angel tree deal where all of our players, get somebody and try to help sponsor that. And we've tried to push that to the community. And we've had, last couple of years, maybe not so much support. This year, it's been overwhelming. So I think it's, again, that's winning helps. But I also think that you're starting to see a lot of people kind of talk on Facebook, et cetera, and that word is kind of spreading. And so different things like that we do throughout the next couple of weeks. And, we'll start our off season and we'll be, all of our kids, they go and they support all of their friends, play other sports. So they're constantly getting asked how the off season's going, et cetera. So it kind of keeps a fresh perspective on it throughout the, I guess the long off season. Sometimes that off season feels like forever, but
it'll be here before you know it. August will be here before you know it.
It'll be August and we're putting the pads back on. So
I love it. Well, Eddie, congratulations on a great season. Ultimately, didn't get the championship is obviously but I'm not a championship guy. It's not a championship or bust per se. Like I think y'all played incredible this season. I love seeing what you're building at Lincoln County, and love seeing what you were able to do against Sevier County up close this few weeks ago. And it's an impressive job to this point, and I'm really excited to see what you do here this offseason to get ready to build off those expectations. So we'll have to check back in later on this offseason and see where things are at.
I look forward to hearing from you, and I really do appreciate you for having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks, Eddie.
Sure, thank you.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.